I'm Linnita, hosting your favorite student success strategist, and I simply coach students to identify and go after their dream career. And listen, at 16, I had it all figured out. I was going to be somebody's journalist. Even my mama knew it. My mama, my friends, my teachers, everybody. And at 16, the dream had the nerve to come true. I was interning at the nation's capital newsroom, rubbing elbows with some of my favorite news anchors. I got to run my own news segment, touch the teleprompter, touch all of the equipment inside the newsroom in my internship at 16. And you know, the day that my internship came to a close, the very first day I finished, the thought ran past my head, is this really your dream? Is this what you dreamed about? Well, let me tell you why. One, I don't like working under pressure and everything happened under time constraint. One, I don't like being faulted for my errors, and that's silly because everyone will have them. And I definitely got those. I don't like working with people who are very, and they were like that. They were like that in the newsroom. And you know, too afraid to tell anybody that my dream might not have been reality, I went to college and I studied it anyway. I went off to Towson University where I studied mass communications, and I got to my freshman year, had a ball, active and touching everything. I got to my junior year, my sophomore year and my junior year, had a ball, on campus having a blast. I got all the way down to my senior year, and I remember sitting in my graduation seat, and a tear hit my cheek. It was a tear of like, I was proud, because I knew my mama was proud. Out of over 10,000 students in the auditorium, I promise you, I could hear her screaming, "That's my baby, that's my baby." And my sister, I remember her making a poster with my face on it and coming to the graduation ceremony. I was the first in my family to finish college, and I knew my family was proud. I knew it was a milestone, but I was also afraid. I had no idea what was next. I had no plans. I had not applied for grad school. I didn't have a dream. I didn't want to be a journalist. And I remember going home after spending $50,000 to sit on my mom's couch. And I remember her coming in to talk to me, and she said, you know, you should have studied nursing, because if you had, man, maybe it wouldn't have been such a hard time for you to find a job. And I don't know about you, but I don't like science. I'm not good at math. I don't even like blood. So it was not a good fit. But I knew what she was saying. She was saying there are some careers that will be in demand. It'll be easy or seamless for you to walk into those opportunities. I wish you had done that, but I hadn't. And I'll tell you one thing about myself, I don't like feeling low. I don't like being disadvantaged. I don't like being anything other than high. So it was a challenge. Those words that my mom said to me that day was a challenge, and I took it head on. So I started going to all these events, reading, studying. There was something I learned in that $50,000 degree that I was going to get out of it. And so as I started like gathering all of this data, basically, I went back to the drawing board and I started applying. Little old me with my mass communications major in the middle of a recession, by the way. And I ended up being offered 3 job offers. At the age of 21, I remember negotiating my very first salary. And I'll be honest, I don't know what negotiation, or I didn't know what it was then. But I remember the words from the decision maker asking me, what do we need to do to sway you in our direction at 21? And I'll tell you what that felt like. It felt good to be wanted. It felt good to be in demand. It felt good to be recognized for the skill set that I knew I had, but for someone else to recognize that. And after I got that feeling one time, I wanted every first generation college student to feel that. I wanted them to feel wanted and valued. I wanted them to feel compelled, that others would be compelled, drawn to them infectiously. And so I wrote the book, The College Strategy, and I started traveling the country and meeting students all across the country, empowering them and their parents. You know, that your education is an investment, and teaching them to apply an investment lens. And that's what we're going to spend the bulk of our time today, as we're talking about where is the on-ramp and helping you devise an educational game plan is what I call it. When I coach my students, I always tell them, you know, when you walk onto your college campus, it's not like figure it out, time or explore. I mean, unless you got it like that, then God bless you. Explore, have a ball. But if your parents or your godmommy or grandma or auntie or your big brother and sister are sending you to school on mustard seed faith, meaning they're pinching up every corner, dime, and nickel so that you could have an opportunity, because that was my story, then it's execution of the game plan is what I tell my students. It is game time when you walk onto your college campus. And so I teach you how to create that game plan so you can be strategic about your educational investment. So listen, I want you to do this exercise with me. And wherever you are, if you're in the living room, if you're in the kitchen, I want you to just give me 2 minutes, because this is real. I want you to vividly imagine this. Close your eyes. Imagine you're in your senior year. Oh, your mama and your daddy, grandma, everybody is so uber proud of you. You finished. They're buying hot dogs and hamburgers. They're excited to celebrate you. There's going to be a graduation cookout. You are the star, maybe soccer player, baseball, cheerleading. You had it up your high school year. And you got into your top choice school. Your parents have purchased everything for you, your community, your church family. You got everything down to a hot skillet to have in your room. Everything you need, they pack up all of the things that people have gifted to you inside of the car, and they're going to drive you to campus. They're going to drive you to campus. They're going to help you unpack, get situated, and they eat lunch with you. You're eating lunch, you're having a good time. Maybe you have a sibling, they're sitting there with you, and you're excited. It's like a dream come true. You're about to be free. If mom or dad was helicopter, you're about to be a free bird. And you get all the way down to the end of lunch. They walk you back to your dorm, and your dad looks you in your eye and says, "Make me proud, son." Or your mom looks you in your eye and says, "Make me proud, baby." And they drive off. Now I want you to open your eyes. And I want you to tell me, what is your plan? What is your plan? You've been given this once in a lifetime opportunity, perhaps. Maybe you're first in your family to go. Maybe you don't even have the support. Maybe mom and dad didn't drop you off. Aunt Cheryl from the church dropped you off. But what is your plan if that's you? No student should walk on their campus blindly. What is the execution of your game plan? What's your first step? And this is how I challenge students to think about that as you're vividly thinking about what's next after high school. Think about this. There are no steps after you graduate high school. So you start in kindergarten, or some of us start in pre-K, we go to kindergarten, we matriculate to elementary school. What's next? Middle school. Okay, so you get bullied, go through peer pressure. What's next? High school. Then you graduate, and then what's next? It could be college, but it ain't for everybody. It could be trade school. It could be the military. It could be you starting your business. But there are no action steps. There are no strategies in place. There's no system designed for you. The plan is up to you. It's up to you to determine your next steps. It's up to you to decide what is the game plan, what's the dream, what's the goal. And while you're in high school, this is the most opportune time to figure that out. The most opportune time to figure that out. So while I have the next 30 minutes with you, my goal is to get you to see your education investment. That's what I call it. It's an educational investment, whether you're going to college, trade school, military, wherever you're going, I see it as an investment. I call it a pathway. It is your starting point. Your educational investment is the first life decision that you'll make. And so why aren't we not thinking about that thoroughly? So if you're here today, then you're in the right place. And I want you to type in the comments, "I'm in the right place," because you are. So investors make money by 2 ways. Before I jump to that, I know that I will not be able to get through all of the content that I teach my students in 10 weeks. I'm not going to get through with that in 30 minutes. For you, this is a QR code. You take a photo of this. It'll take you to a gift that I've created for families. This is a 4-year education game plan template. So what we'll cover today is inside of the template, but I'm sure there'll be some things that I miss in essence to honor today's time. So if you take a picture of this, you'll have access to the game plan. And if you'd like to stay in touch, you'll automatically be dumped into, or you'll be transitioned into the database. So that's my gift for you. But let's jump right on in. In order to make, when an investor makes an investment, they make it either by two ways. One, by paying out money and getting it back or earning it back with interest, or by increasing in value to other investors. Those are the two ways investors make money. And your goal is the latter, by increasing in your value to other people who desire to invest with you. So when we're applying an investor's lens, and I know I'm using very advanced and mature wording, but the goal is that you're stretched during this time. Your goal, your end goal of making your education investment is to increase in value. And you do that by three ways. Three ways. I call them the 3 C's. You do that by increasing in your credentials. You do that by increasing in your clarity. You do that by increasing in your competency. And this is where we're going to spend the bulk of our time today. And this is where I feel our students and parents are not taking the time to explore. So if you're in the 9th grade, if you're in the 10th grade, heck, if you're in the 11th grade or your senior year, I promise you, I do recognize that these are very mature concepts. But if you take the time to kind of sit in your thoughts, grab a journal and think this through. You'll thank me later. You'll come back and you'll find me and you'll thank me later. Let's get started with the first one. And the first one is credentials. The goal of your educational investment is that you'd increase in value. You do that by the earnings of your credentials. And honestly, this is where most students they spend the bulk of their energy. I'm on the dean list, auntie. I made honor roll. I got 2 degrees, not 1, I bagged 2. Like their pride and sometimes ego is centered in the credential. And I don't know if you know this, and perhaps you do, but your credential does not have value without competency. That's why you could be a college graduate. Heck, you could be a master's degree graduate and have a hard time transitioning into employment or other opportunities. Your credentials is one factor of what makes you valuable. But this is where most of our students are focusing on earning. And I love when I see students, they have a dual focus. They focus on earning the actual credential, and they're also nurturing their skill set and professionalism experience so that they are dually valuable for an opportunities. And don't worry, we're going to get to that. So the first C is credentials, but I know that y'all got that one down pat. You understand that. The second C is clarity. You have to be so keenly confident, assured, understand the direction that you're going in. And this is where I find the hiccup. This is where most students and most college planning resources, this is where they lack support in that area. When you make an educational investment, well, let me back up for a second. Put yourself in an investment seat. Let's say you have $1 million to give away every year, and you have people coming, hey, if you give me the $1 million, I'll do this. I'll make this. Like they're pitching to you what they're going to do with the money that you give them. How would you make your decision on who you're going to choose? Would you choose the person who's like, yeah, just give me the money, I'm going to figure it out? Me and my cousin, we got a little lawn mowing business. Would you give it to the person who's like, I really just wanted this because God has just laid it on my heart to be like an entrepreneur. I want to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out with your help. Would you give it to the person who comes to you with a solid business plan and says, this is my goal, these are my projections, this is what I can see being your return of investment? Who would you give the money to? Well, I tell you, I love money. And I'd give it to the person who had the most clarity, the person who has a clear direction, a path, and where they're going. And honestly, that is the direction or the type of clarity that students should have when they're pursuing their major. One of the ways I think that students can think about defining their clarity, and again, I wish I could give you everything in 30 minutes, but I can't, is knowing your intersection. Take a look at this visual. If you are struggling with clarity about defining, like, I don't know what I want to major in, or I don't even know what I like, I don't even know what's available to me, I always ask students to start with what your interests are. Do an interest inventory brain dump. That's you taking out a piece of paper and you are writing down everything that you're good at, everything that interests you, things that you can do with your eyes closed, things that other people compliment you that you possibly do well. You're innate meaning you didn't have much practice or training. You're just naturally talented. I want you to write all of those things down on a sheet of paper. For me, some of my innate abilities, I love to talk. I love to work with people. I love working with youth. Those come easily. I love arranging games. I love programming. I love putting together events. Well, I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like working under pressure if I don't have to. I don't like being in chaotic environments. I don't like off the cuff thinking. No, I want to sit down and like plan it through. I'm a strategist. So those are my kind of like my key core values. I love honesty. I like integrity. I like consistency. I like balance. I like fairness. So those are the values that I like. Those are kind of describe my core personality and what's important to me. And without clarity about your values, about what your interests are, how can you decide what you're pursuing and if it'd be a good fit? It's so important that students have clarity about what they're pursuing. And not that it can't change, because it can, but the more clarity you have, the more you'll be empowered to seize opportunities when you see them. I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to be an accountant. Let's say you want to be an accountant for small businesses. You know that in your senior year, you're good with math, you're taking finance, you're in the finance academy at school, you're in the accounting academy. I don't know, maybe you know how to do taxes. I don't know, maybe you're just keenly interested. What happens when you have that clarity early, when you get to your college campus, you'll see something like the Society of Professional Black Accountants. And you'll say, oh, I need to be a part of that. Because if I'm a part of that, I can rub elbows with other accountants. Perhaps they have their own businesses. I could probably intern with them. Oh, they could teach me how to start my own practice. Oh, let me go and approach them, because if I could just get close to them in proximity, I could probably develop some skills. Or you may say, okay, well, I know I want to be a fashion designer. I know I want to make clothes. You're in the fashion design club at your high school, and you're part of the fashion show committee. You help put together the outfits or the staging. When you get to your college campus, you join the fashion club. Then they have like a Shark Tank. Maybe you participate in the Shark Tank, which is a business pitch competition. You participate, you put together your own bag collection, and you pitch it to them. You're practicing the actual skills that you like. By doing that, you win a scholarship. Then, I don't know, Neiman Marcus has this opportunity for students interested in fashion. So you apply. That gets you into a program in New York. And next thing you know, you're working on, I don't know, the Tyler Perry set, because you were very clear early. The more clarity you have, it's easy for you to see an opportunity and say, oh, I need to be a part of that. God, make a way. Oh, I need to be a part of that. God, open doors for me in this area. You have to have that clarity. It's a part of having a clear directional path. It is without the clarity that I believe students graduate unfulfilled in their career path. They didn't have the clarity. They didn't know what they liked. They didn't know why they did not like things. I think it's also a lack of clarity that causes underemployment. And basically, that's just a fancy way of saying you went to school, you earned a degree, but you're not working in a role that requires it. When I say clarity helps you understand your value. Without clarity, you underestimate all of the natural giftedness that God gave you. You need the clarity. Do you get me yet? You need the clarity. So not only do you need the credentials, which I think you all have that down pat, but you need the clarity. You need to be crystal clear about what you're pursuing. So if you know you want to be a photographer, You know that now. You can do it now. For Christmas, instead of asking for AirPods, ask for a camera. And if you can't get it from your parents, how can you make money so that you can? Maybe you might resell your J's. Maybe you might sell chicken from the air fryer. I don't know. But one thing I do know about my young people, millennials, Gen Zs, when we want something, we gonna find a way to get it. And that's how you have to be about your career path. It's called intentionality every step of the way. So when we talk about having clarity, I want to bring you back to this visual. Your intersection is your dream role, which crossways with your passion area. So that's your dream role or your passion industry is what I call it. So I'll give you an example of someone whom is operating in their intersection. And you know this person, Steve Harvey. Now, I don't know if you know his story, but when Steve Harvey was in elementary school, his teacher told him he would never amount to anything. And she laughed at him when he shared that his dream was to be on TV because he had a speech impediment, meaning that he stuttered. Did you know that? So Steve Harvey's goal was to be, this is his intersection, his dream role, that's this here, the vertical line, is to be on TV. The area or the passion industry here, here's all of the intersections that Steve has successfully entered. He had his own TV show. That's one. I'll use my hand because that's a better demonstration. So this is vertical. This is Steve on TV. Now, horizontally, I had to think about that. Horizontally, let's look at all the ways Steve has met his intersection. So I'll close my fingers. He's been on TV as a host. He has his own TV show. He hosted, what, Miss America, Miss USA? That's him being on TV, right? He just wanted to be an on-air talent, period. What else has Steve done? He's been an actor. Is that not on TV? That's his intersection. It is in our intersection that we're operating in our highest capacity. Why? Because you are naturally interested in it and super passionate about it. I'll give you another example. My dream role, well, it was to be a journalist. I can't even okay, right now my dream role is to be the go-to resources for students in grades 6 to 8, 6 through 12 for college and career readiness. That's my dream role. So basically to own a Kaplan or a Kumon. That's a tutoring center, but it's really a resource center. Here are the intersections in which I could do that. I could coach students privately, which is what I do. I write curriculums, which is what I do. Sell them to other school systems and districts. I haven't done that yet, but it's on my list. I could travel and speak and do conferences like today, which is what I do. I can teach others how to do this business and education, how to create their own curriculums, write their own educational resources, how to be a great speaker to educational audiences. All of that is my intersection. It's my hot zone. So when we see people who are, we call them anointed, we're like, oh my God, they're just so good at what they do. They're probably in their intersection. They have this keen level of clarity about what they're good at, where their lane is, how God has created them. Their purpose is like it is dripping off of them. We call it anointing. Yes, you can call it that. But it's really clarity. God has spoken to them. They have listened and they are in alignment with his will. And that's the kind of clarity that you can have too. All it takes. Sit and think about your interests, your skill sets, what you like and why you don't like them. And I've provided a handout. You'll be able to have access to it where you can be self-led in this exercise to think about those things. The more clarity you have now while you're young, the easier and more infatuated you will grow in pursuit of pursuing your dream career. Do you know how old Kevin Durant was when he started playing basketball and had a dream of going professional? How old was Beyonce when she started training to be a performer? How old was Oprah when she started pursuing her interest in broadcast journalism? They were very young, by the way, younger than 9th grade. What's stopping you? They had that level of clarity before high school. You could have the same level of clarity. It just takes time. So we were talking about the 3 C's: competency, clarity, and here's the last one. I'm sorry, 3 C's, credentials, clarity, and the last one is competency. Competency is defined as your proficiency in a specific skill or area. You're able to demonstrate to someone that you can do this one thing exceptionally well, or you can do this, whatever your area of your dream career is. There's some skills, or there are skills that you have that can be displayed and maybe completed, maybe activated very well. And how you develop your competency is through practice. I tell every student I meet, the summertime is the best time to develop your competency. No student should be home and idle in the summer months. That's the time when you are exploring what you like, when you are shadowing other professionals, when you're walking into 500 Fortune companies and checking out what they offer. That's the time that you're seeking out for internships when you are eligible. That's the time that you go in and practice at career fairs, even though you're a high school student. How bad do you want it? Your level of competency starts then. Competency can be, let's say, it can be created is not the word I'm looking for. Developed in 3 ways. I'll give them to you. The first one is your personal skill sets. So when you talk about competency and you're thinking about, let's say you're interested in pursuing a career in, let's say you want to be a graphic designer. You want to be the person who creates the billboards or the cereal boxes for Cheerios. Let's say you want to do Essence's new logo, or you want to do Essence magazine cover. You want to be the graphic or the illustrator design of some type of fancy company. The questions that I would ask myself when developing those personal skills: what skills do I need to be competent to be a graphic designer? What personal skills? And if I could guess, and I'm not a graphic designer, but I would say to myself, I probably need to be efficient in using graphic design materials or softwares, Adobe Suite, maybe at the basic level, Canva. I probably need to understand symmetry, colors, how colors work, the meaning of color, so I'm applying them. I probably need to be able to communicate well to my clients. I probably need to be able to interview people about their interests so I can gauge what they're looking for and create the best masterpiece. Those are personal skills. And these skills make you competent in your industry when you can practice them with a potential client. So that's personal. The other way we develop competency is through our professional skill sets. These are our professional associations. Every professional association has a student level. So let's say you are a part of the National Association of Black Engineers. Well, they have a student association fee. Sometimes it's 0 fee, sometimes it's minimal. When you are a part of those environments, you're meeting people in your industry. That's how you get internships. That's how you get plugged. That's how people know you in rooms when you're absent. The goal is that you not know people and people know you, so they plug you in opportunities. The goal is that you are so infectiously known in your ideal dream career or your ideal industry that people want to be a part of what you're doing. Your passion is contagious. You do that by development of your competency. Your professional experience can also be you actually shadowing or interning. And listen, you don't have to wait until you're eligible for an internship. It can be something off the books. It could be something you created. It could be someone you approached. Maybe someone inside of the church who has a small business and you're working for them. An internship is simply practice, hands-on practice learning. So it doesn't have to go through a formal application process every time, but you do need that experience. I cannot tell you how many students I've met as I've traveled the country, typically to college campuses, who have no professional experience. They have textbook knowledge. They have theory. They have no practice of implying or putting in practice the theory that they learn. How does that make you valuable to the marketplace? The goal should be a dual career or dual interest. Yes, you're earning your credentials, but you're building those valuable skill sets that are contagious. We're talking about that in the level of competency. So you have your personal, your professional, and then you have your work experience. All work experience matters. So if you're working at Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, you're working somewhere. Parents, if you're watching this, we do our students a disservice when we require them or ask that they focus on one thing. There is not one time in life that we have the privilege of focusing on one thing. We don't get to just focus on our marriage. We don't get to just focus on ministry. We don't just get to focus on our finances. We are juggling life's challenges, all of them at once. The best way we prepare our students to be independent is to allow them to slowly practice all of those skill sets, like managing their time and managing multiple things. Your student needs to work. They need to practice interacting with those in authority, taking instruction, criticism. It is through those soft skills that they are developing work experience, which make them competent. It is the lack of social skills that are really enabling or disabling, should I say, our students from being valuable to the workforce. And statistics are showing this. I read them all the time. 2- and 4-year college graduates are severely underdeveloped in the areas of verbal communication, written communication, teamwork, conflict resolution. And it is very true. Part of it is because they're not being pushed to practice these things. Your student needs work experience. Your student needs work experience. Your student needs work experience. Let them work, even if it's something that you all are doing together. They need to practice managing their time. They need to practice having to say, okay, I have to choose one thing because I don't have enough time to do both. They have to practice those things. So we unleash them to grow and evolve when we push them to do those things. So slowly but surely, we start to increase their level of responsibility so that we can allow them to grow and nurture. Your student needs work experience. So when you have work experience, and it does matter what kind, but just to start off, something is better than nothing. But what I tell students whom are in college, after your freshman year of college, the goal really should be every internship should be connected to your career path, because that is how you keenly display why an employer should hire you. If you've ever had a cousin who was like me, who kind of came home and you're like, I thought they went to college, why they ain't got no job? They probably didn't have work experience relevant to the degree path that they studied. It's not rocket science, but we're making it such. So y'all can tell I get real passionate about this stuff. You need those 3 C's. I'll touch on them again just in case you went to the bathroom and came back. But you need the credentials. Credentials are what people, those are the letters behind your name, your certifications, your degree. You do need those. But you need the clarity too. You need to be keenly aware of what you're pursuing and able to articulate that to any decision maker who you may come across. Clarity helps you pursue scholarships, internships, other employment opportunities. And when you get to your college campus, clarity allows you to maximize the investment. And the last thing that you need is competency. You need to have developed some level of skill that is relevant to what you're studying. So when we talk about applying an investor's lens to developing an educational game plan, you take all of those skills that you need to develop, and then you place them into a plan. I'll show you a visual of that in a second. If you are a freshman or a sophomore in high school, that means you have 4 years to get keenly clear about what it is that you're pursuing, what it looks like, what the dream career is, what skill sets, what certifications you need, what degrees you need, if you need any at all, and then how you're going to do it. If you're a sophomore, same thing. You got time. If you're a junior, you're on the cusp, but you got a little time. If you're a senior, you are behind. but you got time because God is graceful. So you'll take all of the 3 C's that I just shared with you and you'll put them together in a plan. This is a plan that I give my students. I call it your dream career plan. It's segmented by each year that you will attend school. Now, the average student does graduate in about 4.5, 5 years. But the goal is that for every year on your college campus, you have very clear, specific action steps that in the end, at graduation, it is without doubt that you have a level of competency and clarity and your credentials have been earned. When students take the time out to plan their 4-year game plan, I call it your dream career plan, you will find that when it's time for them to transition into their career path, it is seamless. Who could turn away a person who has the credentials, the clarity, they're able to articulate where they're going, why they're interested in it, what they're bringing to the table, and they have experience. They can demonstrate to you that, yeah, I can do this. I've done it before. Here's my portfolio. I actually have some references I'd love to connect you with. That is where I want more students to be. When you get to the end of graduation, it should feel freeing. It should feel confirming. It should be celebratory. It should be a launch pad to what's next. And when you really take the time out to actually plan that, you're preparing so that when you get to the end of that route, you do feel that sense of like accomplishment. And yeah, it'll be fearful, but it's good fear. It's healthy fear, because then you'd have to trust God for the next steps. I want to close with this. As you're thinking about your education game plan, and if you did not get the free gift, here's the last time, because sometimes you say, okay, I don't need that for real. So Linnita, I'm gonna just get it next time. No, take it now. Here's your 4-year template, everything that we talked about, how you get the professional, personal, and your work experience competencies. All of those things are in the template. So take a picture of the QR code and it's yours to have. But as you are digesting everything we talked about today, if I could leave you with anything, and that is in the book of Ecclesiastes, it reminds us, whatever you fix your hands to do, do it with all thy might. And that's just a fancy way of saying do it with a level of excellence. God would be pleased with what he's given you. Be a good steward over the giftedness he's placed inside of you. You owe that to him and he's counting on you. And we do that by being a planner, by being diligent over what he's given us. He's giving you time. He's going to give you opportunities to go on your educational pathway, and he's going to give you the freedom to choose on your own free will. Let him be pleased with the choices that you make, and let me celebrate you in the end. Thank you for tuning in to my session, Where's the On-Ramp? I'm Linnita, hosting your favorite student success strategist, and I hope to see you online. Enjoy the conference.